Shall we start?
Oh, Govinda.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Please sing alongside. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tatho jayam udhirayet shunvatam swakatha krishna punya shravana kirtana hridayantasto hi abhadrani vidhunoti suhritsatam nashtaprayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we'll be reading Canto 1, Chapter 16, verse number 7. Ready, Prabhu? Shudra Yusham Rinamanga. Yes.
Shudra Yusham Rinamanga.
Martyanam Ritamichatam.
Martyanam Ritamichatam.
Ihopahuto Bhagavan.
Ihopahuto Bhagavan.
Mrityu Shamitra Karmani.
Mrityuhu Shamrita Karmani.
Shudra Yusham Rinamanga.
Shudra Yusham Rinamanga.
Martyanam Ritamichatam.
Martyanam Ritamichatam.
Ihopahuto Bhagavan.
Ihopahuto Bhagavan.
Mrityu Shamitra Karmani.
Mrityu Shamrita Karmani.
Kshudrayusham nrinam anga.
Shudra Yusham Rinamanga.
Martyanam ritamichatam.
Martyanam Ritamichatam.
Ihopahuto Bhagavan.
Ihopahuto Bhagavan.
Mrityu Shamitra Karmani.
Mrityu Shamrita Karmani. Shudrayusham Rinamanga.
Shudrayusham nrinam anga.
Martyanam Ritamichatam.
Martyanam ritamichatam.
Ihopahuto Bhagavan.
Ihopahuto Bhagavan.
Mrityu Shamrita Karmani.
Mrityu Shamitra Karmani. Word-to-word translation purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Kshudra,
Shudra,
very small.
very small.
Ayusham,
Ayusham,
of the duration of life.
of the duration of life.
Nrinam,
Rinam,
of the human beings.
of the human beings.
Anga,
Anga,
O Suta Goswami.
O Sutta Goswami.
Martyanam,
Martyanam,
of those who are sure to meet death.
of those who are sure to meet death.
Ritam,
Ritam,
eternal life.
eternal life.
Ichatam,
Ichatam,
of those who desire it.
of those who desire it.
Iha,
Iha,
herein.
herein.
Upahutaha,
Upahutaha,
calling for being present.
calling for being present.
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan,
representing the Lord.
representing the Lord.
Mrityuhu,
Mrityuhu,
the controller of death.
the controller of death.
Yamaraj, Shamitra,
Shamitra,
suppressing.
suppressing.
Karmani,
Karmani,
performances.
performances.
Translation: O Suta Goswami, there are those amongst men who desire freedom from death and get eternal life. They escape the slaughtering process by calling the controller of death Yamaraj. Purport: the living entity, as he develops from lower animal life to a higher human being and gradually to higher intelligence, becomes anxious to get free from the clutches of death. Modern scientists try to avoid death by physiochemical advancement of knowledge, but alas, the controller of death, Yamaraj, is so cruel that he does not spare even the very life of the scientist himself. The scientist who puts forward the theory of stopping death by advancement of scientific knowledge becomes himself a victim of death when he is called by Yamaraj. What to speak of stopping death? No one can enhance the short period of life, even by a fraction of a moment. The only hope of suspending the cruel, slaughtering process of Yamaraj is to call him to hear and chant the holy name of the Lord. Yamaraj is a great devotee of the Lord, and he likes to be invited to kirtans and sacrifices by the pure devotees, who are constantly engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. Thus, the great sages, headed by Shaunaka and others, invited Yamaraj to attend the sacrifice performed at Naimisharanya. This was good for those who did not want to die. Smart move. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for joining today's Bhagavatam class. Please offer a small prayer so that the right words come at the right time in the glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam. In today's verse and purport, Prabhupada is talking about a very smart move that the sages have performed in calling Yamaraj to the sacrifice. And Prabhupada delves on a very interesting point and, in a way, like you could say, um, shoots down something that many scientists look into these days. So there's this poster child for longevity. His name is Brian Johnson. He's not a scientist, but he's very well known in the community for trying to expand the duration of his life. So he's famous from some like related to PayPal and so on, but he has spent the last decade or more of his life in trying to live longer. So he is famous for the longevity um, project, and he has some things. Sorry, who?
How old was he?
45.
45.
Approximately. He's approximately in his mid 40s. So one very interesting thing to note is he spends close to $2 million every year just on tracking his blood, tracking his pulse, tracking his genetic makeup. And he eats very highly curated meals, like the weight, the amount of carbohydrates and proteins and fats of every dish that he consumes is perfect to the T. He is basically living a very perfect life. Like even the amount of oxygen in his house is he sleeps in an oxygen chamber so that his blood has sufficient blood oxygen. So you could say he's the poster child for what Prabhupada is talking here as modern scientists trying to avoid death by physiochemical advancement of knowledge. So after all of this, you could say, gimmicks, he started his own supplement business, and he sells close to 150 supplements that one should take in a day. So it seems to be
150 every day.
every day. So this seems like he's in supplements are supposed to supplement the diet, but looks like supplement is the diet in this case, where we have 150 supplements that one has to consume in a day. And what is even more funny is that he visited India for a podcast for a day, and he could not bear the pollution there even for a single day. He cut the podcast short and flew back. So this is what happens when someone tries to live a quote unquote perfect life. He um, tries to expand the amount of years he can live, but in the end, he's just going to become very very sensitive, and a small bacterial infection would be the end of him. So this is to show, this is not to like this is not an attempt to point fingers and laugh at the expense of somebody else. This is to show the futility of having what Devrata Prabhu likes to call deha atma buddhi, or thinking the body as the self and not the soul. So deha is the body, atma is thinking the body to be the soul and not the other way around. So this is to just to illustrate that point, that longevity does not come from supplements, it comes from bhakti. So one other point that Prabhupada makes here is that Yamaraj is so cruel that he does not spare even the very life of the scientist himself, which is like very often seen. Generally, the Japanese are known to live longer. Um, Interestingly, they also have the largest aging population, and they have the most number of people who have lived longer than 100 years of age. So many people like to interview these old people and ask them, what is the secret to your long life, right? And many people say, oh, we live here, we walk a lot. Japan has a very, like a lot of the cities are very walkable. So they say we get to walk a lot, we get a lot of sunshine, we eat healthy, we drink matcha, and many things like that. And but what they fail to see is that there are actually a lot of Buddhist monks who even fast for 7 days. There's a ceremony where they have to fast for 7 days with no water, no nothing, just air. And after the seventh day, they walk from where they performed the sacrifice to the opposite side of the room, and then the like whatever austerity that they did is completed. And then they say these kind of austerities help increase their lifespan and so on. But all of these are missing the point. Like Vaisheshika Maharaj says, you should keep the main point the main point. If one thinks that the body is the soul, they would do everything in their capacity to increase its lifespan, thinking that the body is the source of pleasure. But instead, the focus should be on the main thing, that is the soul. And Prabhupada says that Yamaraj doesn't care whether you are in the middle of a meeting. He will take your life away whenever he needs it. And the Ayurvedic Shastras say that it is not that you live for a certain number of years, you have a certain number of breaths. So those number of breaths means once those are done, Yamaraj is coming for you. So Yamaraj is waiting for you to finish those breaths. So some yogis in the Himalayas, what they do is they try to take very long and deep, deliberate breaths so as to live for longer years. And some claim to have lived for more than 200 or even 2000 years just by breathing very slowly and basically not living. So this goes to show that they're focusing completely on the body and not on the Supreme Lord. So there's a call to action in these verses. So one particular word that's important in the Sanskrit of the verse is Martyanam. Martyanam is one who is born to die. So the translation is of those who are sure to meet death. That is, any jiva is is part of the Martyanam category. They're sure to die. And King Kulashekara, he in his Mukundamala Stotra prayers, he has a very beautiful verse which is very reassuring for everybody who is categorized as part of the Martyanam group. So he says, He Martya Paramam Hitam Shunutovo. He says, Oh, one who's sure to meet death, Martya, one who's sure to meet death, Paramam Hitam Shunutovo. Listen to the highest benefactor, like highest benefactory thing that I'm going to say. He Martya Paramam Hitam Shunutovo Vakshami Sankshepata. He says, I will say it in short. I know you don't have time, so I will say it in short. Paramam hitam shrunto vakshami sankshepata. Samsar arnavam apadurmi bahulam samyak pravishya sthita. Nana jnanam apasya chetasi namo narayani ti amu mantram sa pranavam pranama sahitam pravartyadho muhu. So he says, this is the greatest benefit for anybody who's sure to meet death. So please listen carefully. I know you don't have time or enough attention to listen to it completely, so I will tell it in short. First, samsar arnavam apadurmi bahulam. There are a lot of difficulties that come up in the form of waves in your life. Don't worry about any of them. Samsar arnavam apadurmi bahulam. Samyak pravishya sthita. Don't go after gyan, the gyan marg. Nana gyanam apasya chetasi is the attempt. Chetasi namo. He says namo narayaneti amu. So just pray to the holy name. Pray to the Lord. So Kulashekara Alvar from the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, but it's the same. It's the same to chant the holy name of the Lord. So he lays a lot of emphasis. So the reason I bring it up is because in the verse, Shukadeva Goswami says Martyana. So anybody who's sure to meet death. This is a clear statement that Kulashekara Alvar gives to them. And Kulashekara Alvar also has another famous statement. It's Krishna Tvadiya Padapankaja Panjarantam Adyaiva me Vishatu Manasa Rajahamsa Prana Prayana Samaye Kafavata Pittaihi Kanthavaro Dhanavidau Smaranam Kutaste. So he says, at the time of death, I may be afflicted by kapha, vata, pitta. I may not be able to think of the Lord. I may be coughing. I may not be able to sing the holy name of the Lord. So he's pleading to the Lord, when I'm able to, and when I'm in a good position, when I can actually remember the Lord, please take me away now. So it's very high, and you could say very difficult to be sincere when you offer this prayer, because ideally Not to you, I'm talking about myself. Even when I just sang it, I'm clearly not sincere. I'm not praying to the Lord, please take me away now. I have an inkling that says, no, I still want to stay for some more time. So that is the Deha Atma Buddhi. I still identify myself with the body. I don't want to leave the body yet. Even though I know that the holy name is everything, and I may not be able to chant it at the time of death, but I'm still holding on. And that holding on is what Prabhupada is telling should be given up in this lifetime. And I think we heard in yesterday's class and also recent class by S.P. Keshav Swami, Ayushashana Ekopi, na labhya swarna koti bihi. Not a moment of life can be purchased with all the money in the world. It's also a very famous, you could say, movie dialogue that has been said. No amount of money ever bought a second of time. But uh, it is very true, in fact, because the amount of time you have in your life is fixed. It only depends on how you utilize it, and it is not something that you spend. You need to utilize it, because as Maharaj was saying, I don't know if Keshav Swami Maharaj was saying in the class that we heard day before yesterday on Tuesday, he was saying that he saw a graffiti on the wall that said just killing time, and then somebody came and kind of in a conversational mood just drew a graffiti on the graffiti saying, no, time is just killing you. So uh, people tend to miss the point there. So further on in this purport, we see that the only hope of suspending the cruel slaughtering process of Yamaraj is to call him and chant the holy name of the Lord. And toward this, I was reflecting on one aspect of familiarity breeds contempt, which I'm speaking this for myself so that I take to reading more. I find myself not reading sufficiently, and reading is one way to enhance the quality of chanting when you really understand why chanting is important. So there's a impetus to do so. And one reflection that I had, which is also pertinent to today's verse, is to really see what Srila Prabhupada's mood was when he was writing all of the purports. So what happens is sometimes we have easy accessibility to the Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, we have such elevated book distributors here. They have it in their car. We have it in our bookshelf. So what happens is we tend to take it for granted a little bit, and we fail to see the amount of effort and pain that has gone into the Srimad Bhagavatam to make it this accessible. So Srila Prabhupada, when he was in Radha Damodar, he was there for almost 9 years. So from 1956 to 1965. And in Radha Damodar, there's very little written about it. Actually, Mahanadi Swami has a book on Prabhupada at Radha Damodar, but that is mostly collections of other devotees who have seen and met Prabhupada or interacted with Prabhupada there. So there is an interview where there is a Babaji, his name is Hridayananda Das Babaji. So he stayed in Radha Damodar for his entire life. So he stayed there for 78 years. He's probably 86 or 87 years old. So I think some years he traveled outside, but I think he left his body in Radhakund, near Radhakund. So he spent his entire lifetime in that area. And he had the supreme good fortune of observing Srila Prabhupada. So he would see that, and he has claimed in his interview, and not claimed, but he's confirmed in his interview, that Prabhupada used to chant close to 100 rounds every day, and he would cry at the lotus feet of who's the founder acharya of the Radha Rupa Goswami. So he was crying at the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami that how will I perform the activity that my spiritual master Gurudev has asked me to. I'm not qualified to do it. And he would cry and he would chant those close to 100 rounds every day. And he would read and he would chant. He would take whatever little prasadam was given to him. He would live in that small kutir of the Radha Damodar temple. And all of those formative years, the 9 years of serving Rupa Goswami and also serving the holy name, is the devotional ecstasy that is coming in the form of the purports that we see here. So those were the years when the first canto was written. So those were, you could say, Prabhupada himself says in some of the Japa walks, he asks his disciples to read the purports out to him to see how after editing, what is it really conveying what I want to convey. And as he hears it, he's pleased that, yes, this is exactly what I want to convey. And Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, in his memories, he says they would read it out to him, and then he would, Prabhupada would say, this is good. and then he would say, this is not me writing, this is Krishna writing through me, I'm just a pen. So, and then everybody would say, oh, this is a great purport, very good point. So then he would humbly say, this is just me being the pen in Krishna's hand to write whatever you need to write. And Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says the same thing. He couldn't even open his eyes. He couldn't, his hand was shaking. He was like over 90 years old. There was no way he could write the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But he still wrote the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita and without any mistakes. And he himself says, it is only by the mercy of Srimati Radharani who wrote through me, using me as an instrument. That is the greatest good fortune in my life. And that's what Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says. And I also remember Badrinath Maharaj saying in one of his classes when he was in New York, I think I've mentioned before, he had the slot from maybe 2 to 3 a.m. to take care of Prabhupada. So he was standing outside Prabhupada's. So the way it would be is at every hour of the day, there would be one devotee who would attend to Prabhupada, who would be there as like a personal servant. They could maybe chant if they liked, but at 2 to 3 a.m. generally there's not much activities going on. So Maharaj at that time was a brahmachari, so he was standing outside Prabhupada's room in New York, and Prabhupada, and the lights were off, and Maharaj was just chanting, and all of a sudden the lights came on in Prabhupada's room, and this is where things started getting interesting. So Maharaj tried to see what is going on from where he was standing, and Prabhupada started the tape recorder, and he would sit and he would start dictating, and then he would pause, then he would take one book, he would read, then he would continue dictating. And so he would do that multiple times. Like he had a whole library behind him, and he would take a lot of different books. And that's when Badrinath Maharaj was seeing what is happening, and he forgot that he was chanting softly. So he started chanting a little loudly. It was exciting for him to see that even for one purport that Prabhupada was dictating for, he referred to maybe 5, 6, 7 books. You would even see in many of the purports that Sri Rupa Goswami says this, Sri Sri Goswami says this, and then Sri Jiva Goswami comments on this, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says this. And actually, there's one purport in the Vritrasura pastime, the last purport of, I don't remember the chapter, it's verbatim from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary to say that Indra did not kill Vritrasura. It was Vritrasura who left the body, and Indra just cut open the body and came out. So no one would get that insight unless you've read the Acharya's commentaries. And Prabhupada knew that this needs to be there verbatim, and he included that there. So Maharaj was, like you could say, very amazed by what was happening there. One purport, and Prabhupada's putting so much effort. And he actually started chanting a little loudly, and Prabhupada was kind of disturbed by it. So he had a water glass there. So he just threw it out, and then it fell on Maharaj. So then he realized, okay, I need to lower my volume, and then Prabhupada continued writing for them. And then the next day, the devotees asked, like, Prabhupada, you spent so much time. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj also says, Prabhupada would sometimes spend 10 minutes just sitting and thinking about writing. And when they asked him, he said, this is because this is supposed to be the law books for the next 10,000 years. So I cannot make any mistake. I cannot convey something in an improper manner. In the sense, it needs to be as perfect as possible. And that is why it becomes very important to appreciate Prabhupada's efforts that have gone into it. And it's funny because when we share our daily report card to Prabhu, I write 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes of reading, which is nothing. Prabhupada would spend nights translating the books, and I can't even spend time in the day to read it. So that's very embarrassing to admit. So I pray to all of you to offer a prayer on my behalf so that I can read with more intent and internalize what Prabhupada is trying to convey through his purports. And another thing that helps appreciate what is happening is to realize that the accessibility of Srimad Bhagavatam is a very rare gift for anybody, because the main example that many devotees give is that the lady who lives near the Malayan hills, she would be surrounded by sandalwood trees, and so for warmth she would just cut the sandalwood and burn the sandalwood just for warmth, not knowing what value the sandalwood tree has. So similarly, because we have access to so many books, if you see, I have a big bookshelf, but I don't read any of the books. So that's worse because I have access to them, but not the taste to read them. So this is the pastime that happens in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So here we're talking about the Trinity, who are the Trinity who started the book distribution movement. So that would be Srinivas Acharya, Narottam Das Thakur, and Shamanand Pandit. So they were the original devotees who started to distribute the books. So Srinivas Acharya particularly, he wanted to know about the Srimad Bhagavatam. So he wanted uh, to learn the Srimad Bhagavatam from a source. So he went. He wanted to go meet Mahaprabhu. So when he went there, Mahaprabhu had already left his body by then. So he comes back to his home and he weeps. He cries, and Mahaprabhu comes in his prayer and says, "Go meet Gadadhar Pandit, and he will teach you the Srimad Bhagavatam." And when he goes to Gadadhar Pandit's home, Gadadhar Pandit says, "I have Srimad Bhagavatam, but I don't know if I can teach you." And Srinivas Acharya is like, what do you mean? And then he says, okay, you take a look at the Bhagavatam. So he opens the Bhagavatam and he sees that the text in the pages have kind of washed away. So he's wondering, what? How can you have this kind of Bhagavatam? The pages are all soggy. So he says, these are the pages that were drenched by the tears that I had when I was reading. Gadadhar Pandit is Srimati Radharani herself. So now that Krishna has left for his abode, Radharani is left in separation. So he is saying the entire Srimad Bhagavatam is drenched by the tears that he has shed. And then, and then he goes back to his house and prays to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, how will I read? So he says, go back to Gadadhar. Now, when he goes back to Gadadhar Pandit has also left the planet. So he seems to have a string of bad luck. So first Mahaprabhu left. Then Gadadhar Pandit, he is also left. Then he goes back, and then Gadadhar Pandit comes in his dream and tells him, go to Sanatan and Rup Goswami, they will teach you. Now, when he goes to Sanatan and Rup Goswami, they also have left. Now, he had a string of bad luck. And then now he weeps and he really shows that he has the taste, he really wants it at any cost. And then Rupa Goswami comes in his dream and says, go to Jeev Goswami and go to Gopal Bhatt, take Diksha from Gopal Bhatta Goswami and then learn from Jeev Goswami. And then obviously he seems to have some terms and conditions. So he asked, what if I go there and they're not there? So then Rupa Goswami assures that I think you are qualified now to listen. So please go and meet Jeev Goswami and Gopal Bhatta. So he takes Diksha from Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And then here's the Srimad Bhagavatam from Jeev Goswami. It goes to show that someone of Srinivas Acharya's caliber had to go through so many hoops to finally get the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we have Srimad Bhagavatam right here. Not just one copy, multiple copies. In fact, when Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted a Bengali copy of the Chaitanya Charitamrita in Bengal, he had to wait for 8 years to get it. And here, we just had to go to the temple and we get the CC. In fact, the devotees will come to your home, install it, open it, read it out to you, and give it to you also. So it goes to show that ati parachayat avagya. It means familiarity breeds contempt. Ati parachay means too much familiarity. Parichay avagya. It leads to us not how do you say it? Appreciating the true essence of what is being said. In fact, I take great inspiration from Vijay Prabhu and Dravida Prabhu because in San Diego, no matter who's speaking, no matter what class it is, no matter everything, they both are always there listening to the Bhagavatam class. In fact, in New Vrindavan, one of Radhanath Maharaj's disciple was giving class, and there are a lot of Prabhupada disciples. And one time after the devotee gave the class, a Prabhupada disciple came to him and said, and Prabhupada disciple is saying, "Oh, please forgive me. I had to wash some pots, so I was not able to attend your class. And while washing the pots, it was too noisy because of the vessel, so I couldn't even hear it, even though it was playing." And he was like, "Prabhu, I am just a disciple of the disciple of Prabhupada. You already know everything. You don't have to listen to my class," is what the devotee humbly said. And for the most part, that is true. Then I don't remember who it was, but the Prabhupada disciple, he says, if I really knew the value of the Srimad Bhagavatam, I would have been there in the class. If I really had the taste for it. That is why I'm apologizing. So, and I remember Vijay Prabhu and Dravida Prabhu, they would sit right in the front. Like Dravida Prabhu, when Kaudakarna Prabhu was giving class, he was sitting the furthest. He was sitting the closest to Kaudakarna Prabhu to hear from him, to hear what Prabhu was going to say. It was not because Kaudakarna Prabhu was whispering. He was speaking, and there was a mic system. He wanted to be as close to the speaker as possible and hear from him. And that is the you could say increased desire to hear it again. That's the real hallmark of someone who has relished the taste, has relished and is willing to hear from others to enhance their understanding. I remember when we had Navinendra Prabhu meeting us when we were in the other apartment where Ikshara Pran Prabhu was staying. He gave a Bhagavatam class, and after the class I was just asking him, and he said, Prabhu, how many times have you read the Bhagavatam? He said, 17, 18 times, and then I lost count. This is real taste with Navinendra Prabhu. So he's read very casually, nonchalantly, he said, well, maybe 17, 18 times, and then I lost count, which means he's read so many times that he no longer counts. In you could say in the world of workouts, it is said that only when it starts paining do you start counting the reps. It's similar to that. Only when you start tasting do you stop counting how many times you've read. And that is a real taste. And this taste comes for the holy name as well. Because if you know, in the process of going higher in the bhakti, so prema bhakti is the highest, right? So we have Guru Padashraya, then we have I forget the verse because I'm confused between two. Not Navaveda Bhakti, there's also 14, right, Prabhu? No, Prabhu. So the 9 stages, I think I've intertwined two. So Satam Kripa, Mahat Seva, Guru Padashraya, Nishta, Ruchi, Rati, Premartha. Yeah, so basically my point is over there, Nishta comes before Ruchi, which is a very interesting observation to make, because only after you're fixed up will you get the taste for it. So I think Jesh Prabhu had that question about how do we get fixed up in chanting. So is it we get a little taste and then we chant more, or how is that? Which comes, what comes, like the chicken and egg problem, which comes first, right? So the soul comes first. So in that case, nishtha comes first. If one has a strong practice and chants as a duty that the Lord wants this, I may not like it yet, but if it pleases the Lord, I'm willing to do it. That will invoke nishtha in the process, and then the Lord gives mercy in the form of ruchi. He gives a little taste, and then when one gets taste, then they're never satiated, they're never satisfied, they want more and more of it. And the more they get, the more they need, more they think they need more, and then it becomes an infinite loop, and that's what pulls us towards the highest. That's rati and prem. Oh yeah, the one funny thing I also wanted to mention was here Prabhupada is talking about Yamaraj being called to the sacrifice so that nobody, they don't die. And Shankaracharya in his Bhaja Govindam prayers, he has a verse. He says, Bhagavad Gita kinchidadhita, Ganga jalalava kanika pita, Sakradeva murari samarcha, kriyate tasya yame na charcha. So he says there's a 3-step process to not have any talks with Yamaraj. Yame na charcha. That is the purpose of this verse. The verse is saying how to not have a conversation with Yamaraj. So he says, Bhagavad Gita kinchidadhita. You have to read maybe even a fraction of a verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Ganga jalalava kanika pita. He says Ganga jal, the water from Ganga. Kanika is, like you could say, not even a drop. It's like a droplet. So it's like even smaller. Kanika pita. You have it. Ganga jalalava kanika pita. Sakradeva murari samarcha. So you offer a little worship to Murari, who defeated the Mura demon. Who's that? Krishna. You offer a little prayer. Even the Mayavadi sannyasi is saying this. So he says, Ganga Jalalava Kanika Pita, Sakradeva Murari Samasha, Kriyate Tasya. The ones who do all of these every day, Yame na charcha. They do not have any conversations with Yamaraj. And that ties in exactly with what Ajamil does in 3:27, 28, I think. So I just will read the translation for those 3 verses about who does not have a conversation with Yamaraj or the Yamadutas. So this would be 6:327. My dear servant, this is Yamaraj. He himself is telling, like, um, the could say the truth straight from the mouth of the horse. So he says, my dear servants, please do not approach such devotees, for they have fully surrendered to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are equal to everyone, and their narrations are sung by the demigods and the inhabitants of Siddhalok. Please do not even go near them. They are always protected by the club of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore Lord Brahma and I, even the time factor, are not competent to chastise them. Paramahamsas are exalted persons who have no taste for material enjoyment and who drink the honey of the Lord's lotus feet. My dear servants, bring to me for punishment only persons who are averse to the taste of that honey, who do not associate with Paramahamsas, and who are attached to family life and worldly enjoyment, which form the path to hell. My dear servants, please bring to me only those sinful persons who do not use their tongues to chant the holy name and qualities of Krishna, whose hearts do not remember the lotus feet of Krishna even once, and whose heads do not bow down even once before Lord Krishna. Send me those who do not perform their duties toward Vishnu, which are the only duties in human life. Please bring me all such fools and rascals. So this is what Yamaraj is saying. Like, he's telling the Yamadutas, you probably didn't read the job description well. These are the people you're supposed to avoid. He just said the word of name of Narayan. Actually, Radha Govind Maharaj has a series of lectures on Ajamil, and he says Ajamil married the prostitute, and the Sanskrit says he maintained. It doesn't say his children. It said he maintains the prostitute's children. Only Narayana, the child, was his, and he was 83 years old, or maybe 84, 85, something, but he's more than 80 years old. And even at that time, he had the desire to enjoy. Goes to show that desire to enjoy does not wane away with your life, the age. And then at that time, he just saw the Yamadutas coming and he called out Narayana, not the Lord. But even then, they were willing to give benefit of doubt to him. It goes to show the power of the holy name. But it's not a license to sin and then in the end just say Narayana, Narayana and pass away. That's mechanical. That's not how it works. This pastime is to glorify and show the strength of the Narayana, the name of Narayana. So we have Madhvacharya himself say, Narayana nam naranam prasiddha choram katita prativyam aneka janmarjita papa sanchayam haratya shesam smritam matram eva. Smritam matram eva. Only smrita, the remembrance of the holy name of Lord Narayan. Aneka janmarjita papa sanchayam. Like many births worth of sins are destroyed just by remembering the name of Narayan. Narayana nam naro naranam. It's the greatest gift or greatest activity that a person can perform. Narayana nam smaranam. And there's also this verse that Radhagovind Maharaj says in the same class that we have the Ahani Ahani Bhutani Gachanti Yamalayam Shesas Thavre Chanti Kim Asarya Mataparam. That's the verse that Yamaraj, Yudhishthir answers to the Yaksha, which is also Yamaraj. And so here it says, Sulabham Bhagavan Nama Jivha Chavachavartini Tadhapi Narakam Yantim Kim Asarya Mataparam. So Yamaraj is in a satirical way, he's saying, Sulabham Bhagavan Nama, the name of the holy name of the Lord is Sulabha. It's so easily available. And then Jivha Chavachavartini, you have a tongue that can actually vibrate the holy name of the Lord. Tathapi Narkam Yantim. Even then, there are Mahapurush who are still able to find themselves on the doorsteps of Yamaraj. Tathapi Narakam Yantim. Kim Acharamatam Param. What can be more amazing than this fact that you have the home advantage, you have the best team, you have everything going in your favor, yet you still find yourself on the losing side. What can be more amazing than this? So I think I would like to stop. I did have a few more points, but I would like to stop here. Please forgive my ramblings in today's class, and if I said something in a little casual tone, I please beg for your forgiveness. I just wanted it to be a little more lively and enjoyable. That's it. Thank you. Yes.
You said that a devotee is for the next class, as usual. You said the devotee is not satisfied. He wants to hear again more and more.
Yes.
But then we have a devotee that is satisfied.
Oh, that's a very interesting point to note. So this is mostly From I think it's mentioned in Shivram Maharaj's book that when Krishna left the Ras Leela during the rasa performance, it was to increase their fear that he will go away. So what happens is when Krishna left and came back, the gopis knew that he can leave at any point in time. So they valued every moment. So it's Tuti Yugayatam. So even 1,700th of a second, they valued it so much because they knew at any time Krishna can go away. So they had the taste, but they were also they were fearful that Krishna can go away at any point in time. So that increased the intensity with which they demonstrated their love for Krishna. So the same in prema, when you come to like ruchi, when you have a higher taste, at least this is my understanding, Prabhu. I'm just trying to say what I've read or heard from others. Is the satiation is in terms of uh, how do you say it? It's not as so the unsatisfactoriness is in terms of the spiritual bhav, that you want more of the enjoyment that Krishna can bestow upon you through his mercy, not the one that comes from doing the activity. Because when Krishna says at the end of the Ras Leela, I have nothing to give to you, so consider your service as sufficient um, return for whatever activities you perform. So at least that is what I think, Prabhu. Maybe it's non-answer.
He's satisfied in the sense that he doesn't want anything material.
Anything material, yes, that is true. Yes, Prabhu. So it's a very deep question. I have no answer, Prabhu. I think
No, that's good.
Yes.
He wants to hear more and more of this because it's so nice in the spiritual.
Yes.
And in relation to Krishna, but in material life, it's just I'm satisfied with Krishna. I'm satisfied with spiritual.
I think, Prabhu, I still remember the verse you mentioned in one of your classes. I have not memorized the verse, but you said the greatest crown jewels of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya is the crying, is the pain, and all of the things that devotees feel in separation from Krishna. It may, to an external person, it may seem like they're suffering, but they're actually experiencing the greatest joy in feeling the separation from the Lord. You remember that verse, Prabhu? I think so. Yeah.
That's the shloka that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells to Prakashanand Saraswati. When Prakashanand Saraswati was asking, why don't you be with us? You are a sannyasi, you should discuss Vedanta with us. Why are you crying like a woman? He was actually denigrating Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, oh, I went to my Guru Maharaj and he said, you are a fool. So you can't study Vedanta, you better just chant this mantra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went back, he would go crazy after chanting that mantra, and he went back to his Guru, Ishwar Puri. He said, have you given me the right mantra? then Ishwar Puri quotes this shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, that one who has developed taste for chanting the holy names, one who has taken vow, he chants this holy name and he becomes like a madman. He sings, he dances, he laughs, he rolls on the floor. He doesn't care for the people's opinion. And he said, you have understood it right. It's perfect.
Gaurvada Maharaj quotes a very beautiful verse from the Mukundamala Stotra, like multiple classes. And I think the other day when Achyut Mohan Prabhu also quoted the class, so I wanted to memorize the verse. So it says, Chittam naiva nivartate kshanamapi Shri Krishna padambujan nindantu priya bandhava gurujana grinnantu munchantu va durvadam parighoshayantu manuja vamshe kalankostu va tadrik prema dharanuraghamatuna mattayamanam tume. So he says, Chittam, there is not even a single second where I cannot remember the holy names of, I cannot remember the lotus feet of the Lord. Chittam naiva nivartate kshanamapi, not even a second. Shri Krishna padambujan, I cannot forget the lotus feet of the Lord. Then he says, Durvadam parighosh, Chittam naiva nivartate. Shri Krishna padambujan, Nindantu priya bandhava, all my friends, relatives, priya bandhava, Nindantu, they shower curses upon me. What is he doing? Nindantu priya bandhava, Gurujana also. Even the Guru says, what are you doing here? You're behaving like a madman. Tindantu priyabandhava gurujana, grinnantu munchantuva. Okay, if they're gonna blaspheme me or if they're gonna scold me, let them scold. Durvadam parigoshayantu manuja, vamshe kalankostuva. He says, Durvadam, all the bad words that all the lay people who I don't know, whatever they shower on me, let them shower. Vamshe kalankostuva. Even if my entire lineage gets kalank, gets like a black spot, let it be. I don't care. Then he says, Tadrik prema dhara anuraga matuna mattaya manam tume. If I taste the honey, madhuna, like from yesterday's words, madhu, honey, if I'm able to taste the holy name, the fame, pastimes, qualities of the Lord, and if I can immerse myself in that, mattaya manam. If anybody thinks I'm a madman, what loss do I have? I am tasting something much better that they will never get to have. And King Kulashekara sings this when he was the king on the throne. So goes to show how it is exactly what you said, bro. If anybody thinks I'm a madman, it's fine. That should be. It's a very high standard to keep. It's easy for me to say it. Yes, bro. Okay. Yeah, anything else, bro? Any corrections?
I think we should invite Yamaraj to Sangha. Tuesday we should invite. Yamaraj should be invited to all every event we have at BYS. We shouldn't be invited.
There's a like a meme where somebody books a Uber, and then the driver's name is Yamaraj. So it says Yamaraj arriving in your location in 5 minutes.
I heard from Jagannath Krishna Prabhu, Bhakti Riksha leader. He would say the distinction between satiation and being satisfied in the material world, we are always immediately satiated, but we're never satisfied. Like we might crave some food, then we have that food, so we feel the stomach is full, but then we want something else after that. Then we want to like go bowling or something. Then we do that, then we have enough of it. We're satiated, but we're never satisfied. We're still looking for something else. Then we go to the next and the next and the next and the next and the next. And we're never able to satisfy, but we're always satiated with that thing, oh, too much sugar. I had too much sugar now. Oh, too much oil, had too much oil, had too much this. But that satisfaction is never there. Again, we look for something else. But he was saying in the spiritual world, it's the opposite, where we're always satisfied as soon as we see Krishna. Like if we're on the highest platform, not like for me, it's not like that. But if we hear Krishna name, if we see Krishna, if we read Bhagavatam, we do these activities where immediately we are satisfied hearing tasting that, but we're not satiated. We want it again and again. That's why we come back, oh, I want to come to class today. We are not, we're always satisfied as soon as we hear about Krishna or see Krishna, interact with Krishna, but we're never satiated. We keep wanting that. So that was the distinction that Jagannath Krishna Prabhu gave a while back. I just remember.
Thank you, bro. That was.
I'm just repeating what.
Oh no. Even I have no realization. It was for me to hear my own class that I need to read Prabhupada's books. We'll stop here.
Somebody asked me on the book distribution, why do Japanese people live so longer? I think they are not vegetarian.
No.
So I didn't have a good point. What would you say? Because I showed higher taste for. They said how vegetarian helps with our longevity.
Their eating habits.
Yeah.
They eat things that help them live long, and also their exercise.
A lot of gardening also they do. Like they love nature a lot. So I think they go for walks and they might have gardens. Like they eat fresh food. They're not eating. Like we go and we eat Twinkies.
One of the garbage champions of the world.
Garbage trucks.
Most of their cities are very walkable, Prabhu. So if you see, Japanese are never, overweight. They're very slim for the most part because their cities are very walkable. They get a lot of fresh air and they eat reasonably healthy, maybe.
I mean, the sushi is it's like rice, vegetable, and then the
just
fish.
raw. Yeah.
Out of all the meats, at the very least, fish materially is relatively healthy compared to like the kind of red meats and stuff like that. It's very can be hard on the system.
The Jagannath priests eat fish.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Considered vegetarian.
It's Ganga
Oh,
Dal.
it's
Ganga Fall. Ganga Fall. It's flour.
sea sabji.
Oh.
Sea sabji. We should mix sea sabji.
I don't think BYS is.
Yeah.
Close the BYS.
Oh no.
Two bad for South items. Ganga Fall and sea sabji.
Let's stop. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhishcha kripasindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grace Vijay Prabhu ki jai. Thank you for joining. Tomorrow we'll have class by Grace Vijay Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Whoever can come.